this is Gordon Pepper, and again, we have another UBA video, and, we've chatted with champions, we've chatted with executives. We haven't chatted with a bracket runner yet. And one of my favorites from the Southeast is here and is been fortunate enough on my end to give me some time out of her day, which I really appreciate. So I would like to welcome Miss Barbara Smith here. Barbara, how are you doing?
Good. How are you, Gordon?
I am doing good. First of all, thanks again for allowing me to interview you. I'm much appreciated.
Oh, no problem.
And second of all, I noticed on the jersey you've got a new name.
Yes.
So before we talk into like the state of North Carolina, tell me about the new team.
So it was kind of a pet project of my friend Anthony Schuller and I's. He came into the UBA last year onto Bufu to kind of get his feet wet. He was planning on starting a new team. We kind of became really close over the process of the year. And when it came time to kind of make the decision if we were going to start a new team or stay on Bufu for another year, I was already off of Bufu, so we just decided to go ahead and start the team. We actually have 5 owners, even though the UBA only recognizes 1. It's me, Anthony, James Jacobs, Stephen Moan, and Randy Hicks, who is the owner of our home house, Southern Lanes, in Douglasville, Georgia.
Yeah, now obviously I know who you are. I also know who Anthony Schuller is. And last time I checked with him, he was making a big push and a major push over to the Cruiserweight title in the World Championship Series.
Yeah, that's going to be over for him this year, unfortunately, unless you guys raise the cap. But
well, I was going to say that's not my call to make, but somebody is eventually going to make it, and more importantly, hopefully once things get back to normalcy, which it's currently not in the state of North Carolina. Can you talk to me a little bit about that?
Yeah, we're still in phase 2. We've been pushed back twice now. Our centers were expected to open June 26th. I guess our governor wasn't happy with the numbers, so he pushed it out to, it was last week. No, that would have been June 26th. We were supposed to come out sooner than that, and he pushed it back to June 26th. We were expecting to open June 26th, and it came down that we were still not open. I think Gary Shinek and his wife are currently suing the state to try to get the centers open. The reasoning being that at 50% capacity, really the risk is not, of increased exposure is not that great as compared to other things that are open, like pool halls. I don't know the full details on that, but I know that's going on. I know Triad Lanes tried to open kind of in protest of the governor's orders because they're out of the paycheck protection money. And, he had to, it was either lay off all his workers again or open back up. And I know they tried to open back up and then they were closed back down on Monday. So. Yeah,
I mean, it's now starting to get tough because as much as as you said, the paycheck protection money is starting to run out. And now all of a sudden it's safety versus living conditions.
Right.
So I know up here in New Jersey right now, bowling alleys are just opening up over New Jersey again at very minimal capacity. Delaware, their phase got moved back. New York, as of right now during this interview, they're still closed. So there's a lot of give and take going back and forth. Now, talk to me about South Carolina because I believe they're open.
They are open in a limited capacity, so league bowlers can bowl, is my understanding. Now, this may have changed. If you have your own equipment, if you bring your own equipment, you can bowl in South Carolina. So they can have tournaments. I don't think they have that many going on. They can have leagues. I don't know how many of those are going on. But again, a lot of that's up to the municipalities because if I'm not mistaken, even after South Carolina opened that, Myrtle Beach still is not allowed to. So a lot of that's being handled on kind of the county and municipality level in South Carolina, is my understanding.
Oh, wow. That's very cool. It's very good to know. Now, talk to me a little bit about, because I know that you've got a new bracket project that you've been working on. I want to know a little bit more about that. I think a lot of other people in the UBA want to know a little bit more about that. Because you've always had that reputation of being at the forefront in terms of technology. I love the bracket screen that you have, that you've done, that you've run. I run it a couple of times. I understand exactly where it's coming from. It's great for me. So tell me a little bit more on the new project that you've been working on.
So, like you said, I've been trying to bring brackets into the 21st century. I mean, the idea of printing hundreds of sheets for brackets is just, it's a little lost on me,
Mhm.
Um, I am currently working, as you know, I have the paperless bracket system. So
Yeah.
basically the only paper I have is sign-up sheets, currently. Now I have a friend of mine who's a program developer who I am hoping, is going to get back to me at some point. He's been kind of slammed lately. The plan is to hopefully develop a program with him that is completely like mobile based. So you would download an app to your phone. You would select, there would be, you could select the center, the event that was going on, and there'd be a cutoff time. So after, say you set your practice on for 1:10, it would completely cut off. You would not be able to pay for any kind of side action anymore. But the idea would be to kind of integrate everything. So if I can, get him to sit down with me, I'm going to try to develop just my own new program that kind of eliminates a lot of because we've got different programs, right? TBRAC's got its advantages and disadvantages.
Right.
Ebonite has its advantages and disadvantages. Was it BLS? I'm not real familiar with that.
Yeah, BLS is another one. You're right.
Like, it's great as far as like being comprehensive, but it's not super user friendly. Right. So the idea is to kind of integrate the user friendliness of like Ebonite and make it real simple to do things, but then kind of open it up to give you more options to do that. And again, to go completely paperless. So you and I could sign up from our lanes, pay for all the side action, and everything would hopefully go into a system so that you wouldn't have to wait around on payout. It would automatically go back to your system, and you could forward it to the next bracket runner and just things like that. That's the end goal. We'll see how that works out.
That would be great. That I know as a bowler, the last thing that you want to do, especially, as much as I love the UBA, the one thing, especially doing a big event like Battle Bowl, you're waiting online forever to get your money, and you're worried that you're going to miss your house and your start time, and then you have to run 15 minutes over to get to the other house. You Absolutely. And I both know the number of people that have said, hold the money, I've got to go over to so-and-so house, and then I'll come back and pick it up. So yes. That would eliminate that problem.
Hopefully so, yes.
So that's great. Now, the other thing that I'm sort of hearing throughout the winds is that you've got some sort of tournament coming up later on this month.
I do. We'll be the first Phase 3 tournament in North Carolina. My understanding is that 7/17 is the date that North Carolina will move into Phase 3. I'll be running a $4,000 first handicap singles tournament out of Triad Lanes in Greensboro. Kind of did a few things with that. It's a $100 entry, but I made the payout 1 in 4, so it's easier than other tournaments to kind of get your money back.
Right.
But it also, you've got that chance at that big number at the top. We actually have some more exciting announcements to release. I'm going to go ahead and release one, even though I probably shouldn't. Anthony's probably going to kill me.
Then I want to hear it then, if Anthony's going to kill me.
I don't know how familiar you are with the program that Anthony, Anthony's a tournament director down in Georgia.
Yes,
I actually trained him up and helped him get set up and running tournaments down in Georgia. He runs his tournament name is SNS. I think it's just SNS Tournaments. Sorry, I'm blanking right now.
All right.
He's actually going to come up. So the finals in my 4K tournament is a 64-man bracket. He's actually going to come up and run a Calcutta for that bracket, separate of the tournament. We're gonna run a Calcutta for that. So this is a big money, big gambling event.
Now, I know what a Calcutta is. I'm sorry for cutting you off. I know what a Calcutta is, but for people that don't, what is a Calcutta?
So basically, we're going to auction off the bowlers, and you're going to basically use your money to say, this is who I think is going to win the tournament. So I think the way he's doing it is he's starting with bowler number 32. We're going to auction them, start the bidding at like $20 or $50. If you think that person's going to win, you bid on them. If somebody else thinks they're going to win too, they may bid a little higher, and you go back and forth, and we'll go 32, 31, 33, 30. So we'll work from the middle of the field out to try to get everybody kind of a spot to where, if you think that person's going to bowl well or win the tournament, you can put your bid in. We've got some big names coming into the tournament, so we're expecting that to be kind of big.
Yeah, I know when I run Survivor tournaments up here, there is a sort of something similar where people will back other people and they'll put money up to it in the giant pot, and then whoever wins the Survivor tournament, all the quote unquote spectators or managers, whoever wins grabs the pot. So that's very similar to what you have. So theoretically, a $5 bid, and I don't know what your minimum is, but just trying to explain the concept. A $5 bid could win thousands of dollars if you're putting $5 on like the 64th person, and he happens to have a super duper run and wins the whole thing. And when you're cutting it to 64, they're all good. You never know. Someone may sneak in and snag.
Now, my understanding, because it's one game elimination too, right. So, you know, it's really anybody's game on the burn. So that's anybody's game at that point. Sure. My understanding is he's actually going to pay not just one spot, but 4. I believe it's going to be half the pot first. And I don't want to say his numbers, but I know he was talking about at least half the pot first. I'll let him go into the details about that. But 3rd and 4th would pay the same, obviously, because of the heads-up nature of the tournament bracket part. So.
Very cool. Now, let me ask you another question, because speaking of bracket running and stuff like that,
sure.
I know that Battle Bowl is planning to happen in Delaware in late August. I know that, I'm assuming that you've seen some of the news that's been coming out in terms of a limited preseason schedule that the UBA is planning on doing, at least to try to get bowlers to come out and bowl. Now, as someone that runs tournaments, like myself, like a lot of other people, how would you use, I'm assuming that you would use that sort of play to help advertise for other events that are going to be going on in the area?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so just, again, as a general reference question, the tournaments that you run, what's the percentage of those people that are actually on UBA teams that come from UBA events? How big of a pool is the UBA for a tournament that you run?
I would say most of them. Honestly, if I run down the list, out of a 50-person tournament, I may have 1 or 2 who's not UBA. UBA bowlers, they like to travel, they like to bowl, they like to gamble, they like to drink. You know, it's just what we like to do. So, you know, if we get a chance to do it, and there's good money to be made, we're going to do it. So.
There you go. So that's pretty much the questions that I have. This is now Barbara Smith time. If there's anything I missed, anything that you want to say, floor is yours.
I hate open-ended questions. I'm the worst. I guess, I added an event page for the 4K. So if anybody is looking for that, they can just send me a friend request and I can go ahead and invite them up. We do have other things that we're going to announce. I have to wait on the center to give me approval, but there might possibly be a VIP room because we don't want the 4K to just be a tournament. We want it to be a yearly event, something that people kind of plan their weekends out of. And, like I don't think I've touched on this earlier, but I definitely wanted to mention it. Like my goal is not to run a tournament every month. I'm trying to get out of the monthly tournament game and get into more of the like once a quarter, like bigger format, different types of stuff. I actually have a pretty unique idea I'm playing around with. I'm not going to release it right now, but I'm thinking maybe February next year when everything has a chance to calm down. I actually have a pretty unique format tournament. It's a doubles tournament that I'm going to be putting out, so kind of excited about that as well.
That would be great. I can't wait to hear it. Hopefully you can break some more news over here during an interview.
Absolutely.
So anyway, Barbara, thank you so much for your time. And this is Gordon Pepper. This has been 5 Good Minutes with Barbara Smith, UBA all day.